Let's do a deep dive into CleanSpark. It's one of the best performing miners of the year. They are profitable. They are staying above their competition in a lot of ways, and they are getting ahead of them. Let's take a look at some of the data related to CleanSpark today, including some of their earnings reports, some of their news reports, and a little bit into their financials. Starting off, let's look at how the Bitcoin miners are doing today. So right now, this is the 5 day. You can see they're not doing great. CleanSpark here in blue is doing the least terrible at minus 3.8% compared to its peers in the last week. Let's look on the 1 day. In the 1 day, we're actually not doing so bad. Bitfarms is up 7% in 1 day. Mara 4.5. I don't even see CleanSpark on here. It's somewhere. Bitcoin's up 0.9%. Bit Digital 1.5%. Sorry, Bitfarms is 2.4%. What's this one? The red one. I don't know what the red one is. No idea what that red one is. Let's get rid of Bitcoin for a second. There it is. CleanSpark 1.7. Ah, there we go. CleanSpark 6.9%. That's nuts for the day. I mean, it's not too nuts for CleanSpark. They're pretty impressive in that way. I'm very happy with my choice to get on board with the CleanSpark. I was looking for an entry for them for a long time. I found one a few months ago or last month, and I've been very happy with that going forward. Anyways, let's take a look at their financials. So let's look at Simply Wall Street. You can see here in the last year, CleanSpark is up 420%. That's nuts. That's multiples of the US market. The last 7 days is down 13%, but that's what I like to call a buying opportunity. And of course, this is not financial advice nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever, but that's what I like to call that personally. Anyways, let's scroll down here. We're going to take a look. So currently, Simply Wall Street thinks that they are severely overvalued. I do think that $6 would be an extremely bearish outlook on CleanSpark at this point in time, based on what the charts look like now. 6 is possible. That would be that 60% retracement that we generally do see in crypto-related assets, and it could do it. But the charts are showing pretty massive support around that 1050 range. So I do think we could lose, $5.5 off of its current price, but $6 maybe for a few hours at best if we got a pretty significant crash. I don't see that happening, but it is possible. And something to be aware of that there are some analysts saying that $6 is the fair value price of this stock and that it probably should gravitate towards that. Now, I don't know if it will. I'm kind of leaning towards probably not, but who knows? Um, so their price to sales currently is 14. And if we look at that compared to their peers, they're a little higher than Riot, which I think is warranted because they're better, honestly, in my opinion. In my opinion, of course, they are better than Riot. Honestly, I think they're doing a little better than Marathon, in terms of just their execution and how fast they've been growing. I think that they could overtake Marathon, in terms of being like the biggest, best Bitcoin miner in the United States. Marathon is the only one with a higher price of sales at 19. Bitfarms and Bit Digital are a lot healthier down here, uh, underneath, you know, the average of 11.6 between its peers. Now, if we go to price to book, it's 3.84 CleanSpark, which is only zero point 0.8 really above where you want to see the price to book value at. So it's not terribly overvalued. I think that above, I think this up here is a bit unfair. Anyways, that's okay. It's good to have different opinions here. So we're on about average with the peers here for price to book, 3.8. Marathon's the one that gets special treatment at +5. I think CleanSpark will eventually grow into that sort of scenario there. There was one down here that I really wanted to see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the industry average for price to book is 3.4. CleanSpark is at 3.8. I think that means that it's nearly fairly valued. Based on industry averages, they're about average. So I don't see how they're getting this 150% overvalued based on metrics here. Maybe it's the price to sales because their price to sales is massive, but their price to book really isn't that outrageous. So I'm really not too concerned. Again, it is a crypto related asset. It can go up and down 50, 60% in a very short amount of time. So it is not for the faint of heart, and it never will be. Yeah, see, that's where we're at there with that. It's really all based on that price to sales ratio that they don't like. Let's look down here. Balance sheet, that's where I want to go. I want to go to the financial health. All green check marks except one. What is this one? Insufficient data to determine CleanSpark has enough cash runway. They're like the only Bitcoin miner posting a profit. I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with their cash, especially with the halving coming up and with the things that they have been doing with their hash rate lately. Anyways, short term uh, assets to liabilities, significantly more assets than liabilities. Long term, even more. They have nearly $700 million in cash and less than $10 million in liabilities. They're going to be fine. I don't see how they don't have a cash runway to work with here for the near future. They're going to be fine. They're definitely making it to the halving. They're definitely going to thrive after it. I'm pretty sure. Now, of course, that is just my opinion, and I could be wrong, but looks great. Yeah, they don't have enough. Yeah, they have at least 4 months of cash runway right now. They definitely have more than that, and the halving is in less than two, so they're going to be fine, I think. Now let's go over to the Webull app here, which I'll open up my phone to take a look at here and get the data that I want from this Sage tracker. So if I scroll down to here, you can see who are the top owners of CleanSpark. It is BlackRock. Dimensional Fund Advisors, don't know who they are. Vanguard, Invesco, and State Street. So four of the top five are the biggest names in investing. BlackRock, Vanguard, Invesco, and State Street. How much do they? Where did they buy? BlackRock bought at $7.49, so they're doing handsomely. Vanguard at $6.30, they're doing even better. Invesco at $4.69, they got into CleanSpark. They are doing phenomenal. They're like almost 4xing their money at this point. State Street got in at $6. How much do they own of this company? BlackRock owns 6%. Vanguard owns 4%. That's 10% right there. Invesco 3.94, 14% of the company right there. A little over 16% of the company in the hands of those four, and then about 20% if you include Dimensional Fund Advisors. And BlackRock has put in $131 million, Vanguard 88 million, Invesco 86 million, State Street 51 million dollars into this positions. Now, that's not a significant amount for any of those funds, but again, they don't want to lose that money. They're not just tossing away, $131 million and oh, it goes to zero. That's fine. I don't think that's how they think. They didn't get to be the biggest funds on the planet thinking that way. All right, so let's go to the company profile and let's take a look at who's been buying and selling this thing recently. Also, insiders are only 3%. I really like that. Insiders are only 3%. Institutions make up 47%. That makes this a more stable Bitcoin miner than its competitors, and I really appreciate that, and that gets me very excited about this stock. Anyways, institutional activities. Let's see. All. So 131. Beta shares. Okay, I don't know who they are, but BlackRock increased by 15% on January 31st. BlackRock UK, 20% almost, 19 on 131. Vanguard, 1231. They increased by 6%. BlackRock Institutional on 1231 increased by 30%. State Street actually took 23% of their profits off the table uh, December 31st, which makes sense because price was exceptionally high at the time and they were way, way up, as we saw in the ownership tab of Sage Tracker. Let's see what else we have going on here. Anything super exciting? Not really. So there is some. Goldman Sachs completely sold out in December of, well, okay, they sold out 74%, not completely. They still have 25.25% of their position, but I mean, that's basically selling out. And I mean, that was probably a really great time for them to sell. They probably made 4 or 5x on their money. So, I mean, good for them, I guess. BlackRock also increased 34% in December and then another 30-40% in January. BlackRock really likes CleanSpark. I'm very excited about that. Anyways, that's the ownership tab. I'll get that put on over top of this. That's what's going on with CleanSpark in terms of their balance sheet and ownership and valuations. Let's take a look at, not this one, their news. Okay, so I've talked about this before. They are now at 14 exahash. That's amazing. They are on track to reach their 20 exahash this first quarter. They are on track to, by the first half, or by the end of the year, right? The end of the first half of the year, they want to be at 30 exahash. That's amazing. They do have an option, if we go back to the second page here, an option to go up to 50 exahash. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that they're going to do that, that is guaranteed or anything, but they have the option. It's there. They have those miners on hold. They can get them if they need them or want them. So let's take a look at, see, this is the current quarter, right? Q4. Yeah, this is the financial year 2023. I'm going to show some very important things here. So this was before they went up to their 14 exahash, which happened immediately, shortly after this. So they increased already since their Q4 earnings report. They've increased their exahash 40%. That's insane. They are planning to get it up to 20 after full deployment this quarter. They've already got 40%, 40% of the way there. Amazing. They have a 44% profit margin. Amazing. Also amazing. Okay, so let's look here. This is one I want to look at. Bitcoin held. So they're currently holding 2,575 Bitcoin. Let's go to Q1 2023 and see how that looked. So this is Q1 2023. Go up here to first quarter, right? So this was the earnings call for the financial year 2023. This came out just last month. This is the first quarter 2023. Where were they at? They're at 6.2 exahash. They have more than doubled that since the first quarter of 2023. So since last year, they have more than doubled their exahash. That is exactly what I want to see going into the halving. They are planning on doubling that again and even beyond that, which is absolutely amazing. Makes me extra bullish on this for a year from now. Very, very excited about that. At the beginning of the year, so 1 year ago, they had 660 Bitcoin. No, that was 2022. Okay, they had 1,531 Bitcoin at the beginning of the year. Excuse me. They have increased that by over 1,000 Bitcoin in 1 year. In 2 years, so Q1 2022, they only had 666. In 2 years, they have more than quadrupled the amount of Bitcoin that they hold. That is very, very exciting. I'm so excited about that. So that's fantastic. Now, this is their earnings call. So this is what they're expecting for the first quarter of 2024. Now we're going into the future. This is where we currently are and where we want to go. So they're going to have 32 exahash in Q1 2024. They want to have 32 exahash. A year ago, they had 6. Let that sink in for a moment. They are growing rapidly. They have an option to have 50 exahash. Now, they're not going to make that happen in the first quarter. I don't think that's going to happen. That would be insane. But crazier things have happened. Their plan is to get to 32, when a year ago they had 6. So think about that for a moment and compare that to companies like Marathon, to Riot, to anyone really. It's insane. They want to bump up their margin to 61%. Keep in mind that currently they are 44%. So they want to push that up another 15%. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They want to have another 1,000 Bitcoin in their treasury in Q1 2024. Everything looks great. So let's look a little bit at their projected path to 50 exahash. So this is actually in the past now, because now they're at 14, they're not at 12 anymore. Q1 2024, they want to have 20. Second half of 2024, they want to have 32. And by 2025, that's next year, they want to have 50. If they reach this goal, their valuations are going to be insane. Uh, if they're still trading at 14 times price to sales when they hit 50 exahash next year, Marathon is going to be dethroned if they stick to this path. So their current price, let's see, the industry halving. So this is the price of the industry average of mining a Bitcoin after the halving is going to be $47,000. Theirs is going to be $28,000. We might never see a Bitcoin under $28,000 again after this cycle. So that's pretty fantastic. They're going to be in the money on that. Oh yeah, they're one of the most efficient miners. So the industry average is 34 joules to terahash. There's a 26. And the more efficient you are with your mining, the better your mining operation, the more profitable, the lower your average cost is. That's why their average cost is so low. They get efficient miners. So they spend the money on these more efficient miners. They get cheaper energy and they're just brushing it with that. So that's it for CleanSpark right now. Let's take a look at their chart real quick. Now, I was pretty bearish on it yesterday, and that was because this chart pattern, if I go into the 2 hour, this chart pattern was looking pretty bearish. And I'm not going to lie, unless price gets out of this descending channel, I'm going to continue to think that it's a little bearish looking. And I'm still going to be thinking this red arrow may be predicting the future because we're not out of the woods until it's breaking out of this upward channel or this descending channel and taking out these highs up here at $19. Until that happens, I'm still thinking that price is going to slowly come down over the next month or so and fill this gap or get into this gap and reach that 11 to 1050 range, maybe touch the 200 day or the 200 2 hour, was it 400 hour moving average down here. So 200 for the 2 hour, okay? I think that could happen, especially since we're under the 20. So we're under the 20. If we reject off this 20, which it looks like we're doing right now, oh, sorry, that's not the 20, it's the 15. I always mix that up. I put the 15 on there. We are rejecting at the 15. That's a problem. That is, we're creating a doji beneath it, which means that the 50 down here at 1376, that's likely to be incoming here. Even with all this good news, even with Nvidia saving us all, this 50 is a reality. That could happen. If we don't bounce there, we're going to meet this 200 at some point. That's what I see in the chart. I see a head and shoulders forming in here. Like I've mentioned before, we got shoulder, head, shoulder, down, right? And to complete that pattern, whoops, to complete that pattern, we would need to come at least to where this gap begins at $12, and honestly, probably down to where all this support is right here in this box at 11 to 1050. So that's still in play. And this candle forming right here underneath the 15 is absolutely telling me that that could happen. That is a warning sign that could happen. And if we look here on the daily, oh, I don't want to move that. I want to keep that right where it is. If we look here on the daily, the 15 is down here at 1322. The 200 or the 50 is down here at 1072 and could crawl up to around 11-ish at some point. So it's very like, especially since we're trading under the 5-day. So we're under the 5-day now. We've come under the 5-day and we are rejecting beneath the 5-day moving average. That is bearish. I'm sorry to say it, but the current outlook is not super bullish. We are at a inflection point where if we do not get above this little green line here, we're going to have some trouble. And actually, I can get rid of this now. This one is done. But we need to get above the 5-day moving average before I'm bullish again on my outlook. And for the short term, for the long term, I'm very bullish. But for the short term, I think there are buying opportunities in the near future around 1350, potentially even around $11 in the coming future. Now, this is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. It is simply what I see when I look at this chart and how I am planning for my own portfolio in terms of where I think accumulation is possible and where I see buying zones if price were to collapse down. If price goes up and I'm wrong, I'm also very happy about that. I mean, if we take out this high of 1923, off to the races. We're going to be doing exceptionally well if we do that. But anyways, that is the Clean Spark deep dive for today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.